Ready to go, Aditya?
Okay, sir. So, very warm welcome to one of all of you. I'm Aditya Kumar Singh, associated with the Indian Futures, and today we have a very interesting topic to discuss. And for today's discussion, I have with me Raza Rumi, who is a well-known journalist, a Pakistani journalist, policy specialist. Is also the director of Park Center for Independent Media at Ithaca College, New York, and he is also the founding editor of Nador Media. He has written a number of books, such as The Factitious Path, Pakistan's Democratic Transition, Delhi by Heart, Impressions of a Pakistani Traveler, Being Pakistani, Society, Culture, and the Arts. Pakistan has been in the news for almost 2 to 3 years, and Imran Khan has left no opportunity to put Pakistan and himself in the limelight, be it on the national media or be it in the international media. So, to discuss about the happenings and the interesting churns in Pakistan, we'll start the conversation with the very obvious question, sir. Why do we see Pakistan getting into turmoil and churn very frequently? What are the main reasons, according to you, sir?
Thank you, Aditya. I think this issue of political instability has, haunted Pakistan right from the very inception, especially with the assassination of the first prime minister, as you know, in 1951. And since then, we've had these cyclical decades of authoritarian rule under military rulers, and then some kind of a semi-democratic, semi-civilian transition, and so it's an up and down. But in the recent decade or so, I mean, that particular older pattern of direct military intervention has disappeared, and now what we have is more of military taking a back seat or driving the car from the back seat, while at the front there are civilian actors. And in particular, as you can see, the turmoil of today in Pakistan is also linked to this particular issue, where all the political forces see military as the real power broker, as the real power wielder, and they want to align themselves with the establishment so that they can come into power and enjoy their time in power. So it's unfortunate, but I think that is one of the key issues that we are facing, which is leading to, this perennial cycle of political instability. Yes.
Indeed, sir. Army is at the center of a lot of things happening in Pakistan. But so in 2011, the army decided that they could neither trust PPP or Noon League, and they had to come up with another front. And they eventually found their person in Imran Khan, and they decided they will pitch him for that, as the third front. And in 2018, we saw that the army was somehow able to cobble a government, and Imran Khan took over the reins of the country. And Imran Khan he also did not miss any opportunity to sing praises of General Bajwa and the importance of Pakistan Army and the civilian government being on the same page. But eventually, Army, as has happened with other civilian leaders, dropped Imran Khan midway. So my question is, why did Army leave Imran Khan midway?
So yeah, I mean, those the recent events have been really interesting, but nothing unusual if you look at Pakistan's history. So Imran Khan was, as you rightly said, in 2011, he got a major boost from the Pakistan's establishment. That decided then to fully launch him. I mean, he was already a political player. And as you know, he's really popular, as a sportsman, as a philanthropist, as a budding politician before that. But, he could not really make an impact on the political arena. He did not have the electoral strength that you need to get into power or enjoy power. So from 2011 to 2018, we see these years where Imran Khan mobilizes more and more people. He has backing of the establishment. And ultimately in 2018, with a manipulated election in his favor, he comes into power. And for the first 3 years, he is like citing this one page. He has the best relations with the army because he's honest, he's not corrupt, and the army values that, etc., etc. And then last year, exactly a year ago in October, he had a falling out with the military, especially the military chief, on the appointment of the DGISI. Now, the inter-services intelligence, as you know, and in India, it's also watched very closely, is a very powerful arm of the Pakistan military, although it's notionally, it reports to the Prime Minister, but in effect, it is headed by a serving general. And the former DGISI was very close to Imran Khan. He had a good working relationship with Imran Khan. Many of Imran Khan's opponents and critics say that Imran Khan was hatching a plan to use to make this DGISI continue in office and hound his opponents, and then later on appoint him as the army chief. And so anyway, I mean, I don't know, all of that is speculation, honestly. You never find precise evidence for these things. But anyway, Imran Khan did not want him to be changed, and the Army Chief General Bajwa, who retires in a week or so, wanted to change him. So they got into a spat. But more importantly, under Imran Khan, because of his populist rhetoric and his worldview, Pakistan's foreign relations had also suffered a lot. Pakistan has these three vital relationships with the US, which is a historical relationship between the two militaries and the two governments since the 1950s, as Pakistan has been an ally of the US in almost all regional and global security projects, whether it's the Cold War, whether it's the war on terror, whether it's the first Afghan war, etc., etc. So, so the US was not very happy with the kind of declarations Imran Khan made. And if you remember that, he was in Russia the day Russia invaded Ukraine. Now, that was a pre-planned visit. I'm not saying that Imran Khan deliberately went there, but the point is that it gave this impression to the West, where Pakistan is dependent financially and economically for bailouts, that its prime minister was kind of defying the line, quote unquote. And then the Chinese were also not very happy, because we have this China-Pakistan economic corridor, $50-60 billion initiative with lots of highways, infrastructure, etc., export processing zones. So that had been stalled. And that had been stalled partly because Pakistan did not have the money to invest and put its part in those joint collaborative projects, but also because Imran Khan government, when he came into power, started accusing these CPEC projects of corruption. So two of his ministers, one minister directly spoke of corruption in these projects. The other one said, oh, the terms are not favorable. So obviously, as you know, the Chinese don't take these things lightly, so there was a strong reaction. General Bajwa had to go himself to China and pacify the Chinese, authorities. And then the third critical relationship is Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia, Pakistan is dependent on for oil. It's the largest source of remittances, with millions employed there. And, and also Saudi Arabia is fully in the Western camp. So anything, if you are not on good terms with Saudi Arabia, it means you're not on good terms with the Western world, especially the US. So the military was also looking at these, and then the economic handling. And Imran Khan's, he was a novice in government. He had, he had some experienced ministers, but many of them were first-time ministers. It was like a very amateurish style of governance. So all these factors contributed, And when this split happened between the military and Imran Khan, the opposition jumped in. The opposition coalition parties said, okay, this is the time to strike. So they launched a vote of no confidence because Imran Khan was dependent on three or four small groups in the parliament. And one they gave up their support, leading to a change in April 22. But Imran Khan cited that whole constitutional process as a US-led foreign conspiracy in which Pakistani actors, especially hinting the military, were involved. And he even took the dramatic steps of naming the army leaders as Mir Jafar and Mir Sadiq. Now, you know, Mir Jafar and Mir is also an Indian traitor, you know, when the British took over India. Yeah, they started with Bengal, so you know, and he collaborated with the colonial authorities. So you know, he started this whole narrative and this campaign, and over the last 6-7 months, these differences and the split has grown wider now. So that's a crisis at the moment.
Indeed, sir. So I'll just push on what you mentioned. After being ousted, we have seen a very different Imran Khan. The moment he was ousted, he was at the lowest, but he has made a very good comeback. If we look at his jalsas, he has been doing them for back to back, and hundreds and thousands of people have been reaching to the jalsa. And we have seen a very aggressive Imran Khan, particularly when it comes towards army, and he has not spared the ministers, particularly Rana Sanaullah, and even former President Asif Ali Zardari, or be it the Prime Minister, current Prime Minister. So that is one story. But on the other hand, he is also having back channel talks with the army. He wants an early election. He has been pushing the government. He's trying to corner the government. Uh, the government has somehow given him a strong, rather tough pushback. Of course, the army is backing the government, but why is Imran Khan being so aggressive as well as being so insensitive to the crisis, particularly the economic crisis, which needs a consensus to revive? Why is he being so insensitive to the situation in Pakistan?
Yeah, a lot of his critics say such things, you know, and the reality is, like any other politician, he feels that, you know, well, partly it has to do with his ego. You know, he did not really expect that he would be ousted from power, and that the vote of no confidence that was launched in March would become a reality. But it did, you're right. And then obviously, so that has hurt him very much, I guess, at the personal level. But I think also the fact that, you know, right after his ouster, he realized that, you know, this was a good chance for him to relaunch his populist brand of politics. And as you know, many populists in all over the world, whether you look at Bolsonaro or you look at Erdogan or other types of Trump in America, they all use these different kind of, you know, nationalistic fervor to gain support. And so Imran was doing the same thing, you know, no different from these other characters. And, you know, he first of all, there is a real anti-Americanism in Pakistan. I mean, I wouldn't say that all of Pakistanis are anti-American, but a large segments of Pakistanis have been sort of indoctrinated that, you know, you know, we have one permanent enemy, which is India. So everything that goes wrong or is Raw's doing or Indians are doing, and, you know, I mean, you know the history. I don't have to repeat that. The other is a transient enemy. Sometimes it emerges, but sometimes it goes down, but that has to do with the asymmetrical power relations between the US and Pakistan. So Pakistan has always been done bidding for the US, you know, from Cold War days, as I mentioned earlier. But excuse me, but especially in the last war on terror for 20 years, Pakistanis have suffered a lot. More than 70,000 people are for dead. For a decade, we had to face terrorism of the worst kind, and now and still it's not gone fully. I mean, it has been arrested by the military and the law enforcement agencies, but it is still looms large there on the Afghan border and other districts of northwest Pakistan. So there's this resentment in Pakistan that that Pakistan's collaboration, and partly it has been propagated by the state as well. So Imran Khan played on that anti-American sentiment. He also brought in religion. Now, in South Asia, most of us are of religious bent, and in our households, in our everyday life, we use religious symbols. So, and that's a 20th century history of India and Pakistan as well. But in Pakistan, that particular, what one of his associates called, while he was making a speech, so one of his associates said, "Sir, zara Islami touch dein." It was recorded on camera, a legendary moment where you could see that religion was directly, or a religious reference was being directly used for politics. So Imran cites his political mobilization as jihad. It's not the kind of jihad that you guys know in India, but it's like, going for democracy, new election, and undoing. And he calls it a fight between good and evil. He's even in a speech said that, if you don't support me, it's akin to shirk. Now, shirk is this Arabic religious Islamic reference to as a major sin where you deny the one monotheism, that there's one God and you bring other gods into play, right? So now, of course, he has faced a lot of criticism, but he's played on all those cards. And the third card he has very effectively played is, once again, in Pakistan's history, while there's a dominance of the military or the establishment, there's also a popular anti-establishment feeling because of, whether it was Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, Nawaz Sharif, Mujibur Rahman in East Pakistan, now Bangladesh, they all had anti-establishment politics and they were very popular. So Imran also took that line. So these three touches, or these three planks of his strategy, have made him more popular. There's no question. The polls in the last 6-7 months have all, his party's won all those polls. His rallies are big, nearly 60 rallies so far. But also, one of the other things where he is ahead of every other party is the social media or digital infrastructure that his party operates. And, it's a bit similar, not entirely, but it's a bit similar to the BJP in India, which is very good, very scientific in its social media management. Of course, BJP has the edge because it has grassroots organization. Over the last so many decades, it has gone to the villages, to small towns, and made its party cadres. Imran has yet to do that. But his social media, the WhatsApp universities, as they are known in South Asia, are very, very, vibrant and produce a lot of graduates every day.
Indeed, sir, he is a master when it comes to communication. But the other actor, that is the current PDM government, I think it has failed to communicate to the people its message. When we look at the economic handling, it hasn't done so far so good, or at least a bare minimum. It hasn't done even the bare minimum. It has changed finance minister. Now we have Isaac Dar back in the scene, who is also being touted as the de facto deputy prime minister. And also, when it comes to the handling of flood, the people who were suffering, and they are still suffering out there. And and as I've heard and read, that Nawaz Sharif was not in favor of continuing this government for so long. He had the idea that will come in, announce the elections, and get back. But the government continued, and it seems that the plan has failed, and it has given an edge to Imran Khan. So what is happening when it comes to the PDM faction? We know you have just mentioned about the Imran Khan faction, what he is doing. But what is happening about the government, how they are planning, and what are they thinking to do ahead?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think this is more like their weak communications, because in reality, the PDM government, which came into power, Pakistan was at a very precarious economic situation when the Shahbaz Sharif government took office, because it was almost on the brink of a default. So you had seen what was happening in Sri Lanka, those scenes. So there was a big real worry in Pakistan that, and especially the establishment that may not get repeated. And so, the PDM government negotiated successfully a package with the International Monetary Fund. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the Chinese stepped in, the Saudis have stepped in, the Qataris have stepped in, the UAE. So they all, they successfully got some transitional funds, so that Pakistan's balance of payments deficit, or the external payment, because it has to repay a lot of loans, it has a lot of liabilities, so they could be paid off. But then came the floods, as you rightly noted, which kind of have pushed Pakistan back. There's been a loss of crops, there's been a loss of homes, infrastructure, livestock, livelihood. So obviously that's going to impact the overall GDP growth rate as well. But for that matter, this government has acted like any other government. The real problem with this government is the perception. The perception being that, just before coming into power through the vote of no confidence, these parties had set up this PDM, as you noted, and had been going around the country attacking the establishment for propping up Imran Khan and ousting them through rigged elections and disqualifying Nawaz Sharif in 2017 through a really spurious case. And that whole particular, as I told you, that was a very popular thing. The PDM was attracting big rallies, and it had become this big anti-establishment force. And suddenly they made this deal or this pact with the military and came into power. So their public perception went really down. That's when Nawaz Sharif's party is in a crisis. A lot of his supporters were backing him because he was taking this stance against the military and challenging them and challenging the generals. And suddenly, overnight, his brother comes into power. He is really, really, I wouldn't call the word submissive, that's too strong, but really pliant, in his statements, So one of the steps that Shehbaz Sharif did after taking office, I think within the first few weeks or months, was that, for the promotion of senior civil servants, he made it mandatory that it has to go to the ISI. The ISI has nothing to do with civilian governance or civil service, so people really raise this question. Obviously, even before the intelligence reports are sought for civil service, but he did this to show how much he holds the ISI and the military in high esteem, and that he's not like his brother who's anti-establishment, or his niece Mariam Nawaz, who's also anti-establishment. So that perception has really dented their popular politics, and Imran Khan has taken full advantage of that particular dent, or what we would call the loss of legitimacy. Yeah.
Indeed, sir. Army, and you just mentioned, I would just like to question, you've just mentioned that in passing. Yeah, I've heard reports that there is some kind of discomfort within Nawaz family. Even Shahbaz
Yes.
Sharif and Mariam Nawaz, they are not on the same page when it comes to policy matters or the way to deal with army. So, what's your take on that, sir?
Yeah, so obviously there are different, like any big party, there are different groups in the party. One group, which is of course the main group led by Nawaz and his daughter, are very much keen to push the military back into the barracks. Their agenda is as follows: push the military back into the barracks, let civilian constitutional rule take root. And secondly, as you know, Nawaz Sharif also has a different view on foreign policy, especially trading with India, relations with India. So although I have to say that the current army chief, the outgoing army chief, had also come around to Nawaz Sharif's worldview. He has been making all these statements about normalizing relations with India, doing trade and regional peace, geoeconomics, all of that. But the other faction in the Nawaz Sharif's party says, well, we have to be pragmatic. The military is the major power stakeholder in Pakistan. We have to work with them. We have to appease them to enjoy power, do development, and then talk of civil supremacy. So that's the kind of Erdogan-Turkey model they cite, that Erdogan did not push out the military overnight, but he actually first delivered on his promises, did massive infrastructure growth, development, brought prosperity. As you know, in the first decades of Erdogan's rule, the per capita income of Turkey increased threefold, from whatever. So it became a middle to high income country under his rule, and all the education reform and all the other things that he did. So that's the Shahbaz Sharif groups, within the party. Now, obviously, that pragmatic group has won because Nawaz Sharif is out of the country, because if they were out of power, they felt that, they would become more and more marginalized and more irrelevant. And, being in power has its advantages. You get access to development funds, you have more influence for the following election. So I think they made that calculation around that, but it has backfired because, this is the 21st century. This is Pakistan of 2022. It's not 1980s or 1990s. You have digital media and, as a reality where, millions and millions of Pakistanis are on mobile phones, on smartphones, and they get the information from there. They get influence, they engage, they have a more direct engagement with what is happening in the country than ever before. So all of these factors have led to that particular moment that we are faced now. So the differences are there, but they're not as serious as some of the analysts in Pakistan cite, where, the party toot rahi hai, it's going to break away in factions. No such thing is happening. It's one big family. And like all Indian Pakistani big joint families, they have their phaddas and they have their disagreements. But at the end of the day, hum ek parivar hain, that kind of hum sab ek hain, of what that famous Bollywood film. So, yeah.
Yes, sir. And so you mentioned about the centrality of army and Imran. We are seeing that when it comes to the appointment army chief, and Imran Khan has been a vocal supporter when it comes to appointment of the army chief, and he also said that he floated 3 ideas. First of all, he said that whoever PDM government appoints won't be a patriotic person. He questioned the patriotism of the incoming army chief. Then he came up with the idea that the government should take into consideration the opposition's point of view. But since he's not even in the National Assembly, I don't know why he himself calls himself opposition leader. And now he's instructing the president, Arif Alvi, to appoint the senior most as the army chief. So why is he so obsessed with the appointment of army chief?
Well, I mean, as we do, he knows that even despite his popularity, even if he wins the election, he will not be able to come into power if the military is not with him. So, we have had cases in Pakistan, so again, I will go back to Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. That's Pakistan's unfortunate history. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, all these people, all these characters, even Benazir Bhutto, they were extremely popular politicians. But, they, when the military did not want them, they were out. I mean, Mujib had to, declare a sedition or whatever, leave Pakistan, create a separate country. at his party, and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto went to gallows. Benazir Bhutto was kept out in exile, given power and on these terrible terms, and then ultimately, that she was killed. So there's a very unfortunate history, and so that's why where Imran's obsession comes into play, and that's the big problem at the moment, which a lot of people are raising this question. I've seen in India as well, there's these articles and video debates where they're saying Imran Khan is really giving a tough time to the army and he's going to push them back. In Pakistan, some people also think that, but actually none of that is true. What Imran Khan is saying is, intervene on my behalf, stay on my side, my darling. Don't leave me. If you leave me, I'm going to defame you and I'm going to call you names until I pressure you. And the advantage that Imran Khan has, unlike all these characters, Bhutto, Mujib, Bhutto to some extent was similar, but most of this, that the core constituency that supports Imran Khan, the urban middle class, lower middle class, urban middle class, aspirational middle class, is also the class that is in the military, is also the class that is in the civil service. They go through competitive exams, those who have gotten degrees, in the judiciary, in the media. So he has this real powerful, vocal, strong allies in these institutions. That's why he's also getting away with a lot of name calling. If any other politician or activist, especially let's say from Balochistan or Khyber Pakhtunkhwa or Sindh, had criticized the military, he or she would have been dealt with, with an iron hand by now. But it's Imran Khan because he has support within these institutions. So it's actually a bit similar to the BJP's support base initially when BJP started becoming popular in India. And I'm drawing these references so that viewers can better understand Imran Khan and his politics. So, like when BJP started becoming popular, its major argument, well, one was against dynastic rule. Second was against the corruption of the Gandhi family and the Congress stalwarts, and it is identical in Imran Khan's supporters think, most of his supporters think dynastic politics is bad. People should not have a birthright to come into power or rule parties or lead parties, like the Gandhi kids are now ruling the Congress or other smaller regional dynasties, and the corruption. I remember when Manmohan Singh was the prime minister, and we all used to like Manmohan Singh very much. He was a technocrat, padha likha hai, but there were these mega scandals of corruption by the Congress party, which were amplified and very, very successfully used by the BJP to build that particular anti-Congress narrative. Imran Khan has a very similar thing, and that's why Imran Khan is a reality. That's why he's gained so much. He has consolidated all that anti-dynastic, political mood. He has consolidated all that anti-corruption. Like you have Aam Aadmi Party, Anna Hazare, BJP, Modi ji, all of them are very vocal about corruption. So Imran has brought them all together under his umbrella. So that's the kind of politics that he has initiated, and he's also successful.
So you mentioned about corruption, and unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, Imran Khan's corruption story have come into the public domain. The Tosh Khana case is one, and he has also been sanctioned or eliminated by the Election Commission. But why have people of Pakistan ignored, if I may use the term, his corruption stories, and they believe that the opposition parties are more corrupt, or when it compared to Imran Khan? Why is his corruption story not making the headlines there?
Yes, so there are many reasons. First of all, see, the thing is taking gifts and selling them in the open. Buying them cheap and selling them in the open market. It's not illegal. Okay, so first thing we need to remember is that this is a lot of opposition attack on him. Of course, what he did was unethical, was distasteful, I would say. It doesn't suit a man of his stature or a prime minister to do that. But it's not illegal. I think that the legality issue came in because he did not declare that in his returns or his, before the election commission or whatever. And the case is still now in appeal. We'll find out more details. So, first of all, is that. And yes, his associates have been indulging in corruption. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, where his party has been ruling for almost a decade, there are multiple mega scandals, of corruption, of misuse of public funds. But you see, the thing is that Imran Khan is also a cult, and the cult figures are beyond reproach. So Trump in America has done many, many bad things, like putting his son and daughter in the White House, using Trump Hotel, influencing, running the businesses while he was the president. But his followers say, so what? He's great. He'll make America great again. So Imran Khan's core constituency says, well, he is the World Cup winner. He's the builder of this philanthropic hospitals. He's the clean man. And these minor things are just propaganda. And deep down, again, it goes back to, sadly, to the establishment's policies. So you see, when General Ziaul Haq's martial law ended in 1988, 85, and Zia died in 88, Pakistan returned to a civilian rule. From 88 to 99, until Musharraf came in, it returned to a semi-civilian hybrid rule, in which the politicians' corruption was made, turned into a big propaganda item by the establishment. They were constantly filing cases against Benazir Bhutto, her husband, Nawaz Sharif's family, his associates. And then came General Musharraf. He said, both are corrupt and I'm going to oust them from politics. Imran Khan was an ally of Musharraf. Sorry, I have to go back to the history. And Musharraf also amplified that propaganda. So imagine from 1988 to 2008, it is exactly 20 years. It's a whole generation. So in Pakistan now, a whole generation and a half has grown up with these stories of the corruption of Imran Khan's opponents. So young kids do not know about the history of Pakistan. And partly it has to do with our textbooks, the way we frame history, where we don't criticize the role of the establishment or their direct takeovers or loss of democracy. And so that particular indoctrination, and all these kids have grown up, they've become Imran Khan supporters. So they know this history that, Benazir Bhutto, Zardari, Nawaz Sharif, his brother, they all are corrupt. And here's the clean alternative. That was also military's point of view until last year. They brought him into power. They projected him as this clean persona. So faced with this manufacturing of these realities or semi-realities, it's not going to be an easy thing. It's going to maybe take more years for people to know more, a better education system, a more informed and informative media. But unfortunately, none of that is in sight. So this will continue for some time. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And apart from support amongst the middle class and a section of military, he has a considerable support when it comes to Pak judiciary. And we have seen the way Pakistani courts have dealt with his cases. They have been more than cordial and respectful when it comes to dealing with his cases. So why do we see that particularly in judiciary, where it has to be judging the case on the merit rather than doing a fan following kind of thing?
So I think the judiciary, I think partly it has to do with the fact that people who go into become judges, people who become lawyers and judges are also, barring a few, couple of elite background judges, mostly they are middle class background, the educated professionals, the upper middle class background, they go into law, they practice law, they become rich, they get appointed to the benches, then they go up the system. So it's the same class that we are dealing with, right? And they're also divided about this, this clean hero cult-like figure called Imran Khan versus his stories of gifts and little misdemeanors and little corruption stories, etc., etc., or even the blatant violation of the constitutional provisions when he dissolved the assembly while he was facing a vote of no confidence. You can't do that. So Supreme Court did give a verdict against him. I mean, it's not that they all are, but I think partly it has to do with the fact that the Supreme Court in Pakistan has also emerged as an independent player since the lawyers and judges movement, since Musharraf's ouster. So now, earlier they were like second in league with the military. If you look at Pakistan's history from 1950s onwards, whatever the military was doing, the judiciary followed. But now they have a greater measure of independence and autonomy. I won't say they are fully independent or they're fully autonomous. That's not the case, because we saw what happened to Nawaz Sharif, the way he was disqualified in 2017, and the Supreme Court was clearly biased against him and wanted to oust him. And that was also the military plan, and that was also Imran Khan's plan. So it was a happy coincidence of all three. But they also read the signals. So when establishment is divided, when establishment is not on one page on how to deal with Imran Khan, the military also says, let's see who actually wins in this struggle, in this power struggle that's going on in Rawalpindi or Islamabad. And they read the signals on the wall and they don't want to jump and take a side. So they will first. So now this change is coming. A new army chief is likely to be appointed in a week's time or less. A new doctrine will emerge. Earlier we were living under Bajwa doctrine. Mm-hmm. That's also interesting in Pakistan. Army chiefs, these doctrines are usually made by either politicians or thinkers or intellectuals. But in Pakistan, we have to accept the doctrine set by the big boss in Rawalpindi, and everybody falls in line. I mean. So things are now changing, and it very much depends on, the new chief will come in. Initially, I don't think he will make any particular decisions. It takes any chief, somewhere between 3 to 6 months to consolidate himself as the leader. But whosoever will be the chief, the army's institutional interests, their worldview will dominate. It will not be driven by Imran Khan or Nawaz Sharif or Shahbaz Sharif or whoever. Pakistan Army is also pretty autonomous when it comes to its own thinking and its own policy. So, but I think so it's going to be a transitional time soon.
Of course, sir. And last month we heard the news of the unfortunate death of Pakistani journalist Arshad Sharif, who was known to be close to Imran Khan and once upon a time close to the establishment. And we saw heard some allegations from Imran Khan accusing the DGC, I think General, I'm forgetting
Faisal.
the name, Faisal Nadeem. And later on, we saw DGISI coming out and doing a press conference and that went beyond an hour. Which is a very unprecedented. Why do you think that the DGISI himself had to come out and explain the situation?
Look, Aditya, the thing is that I'll explain it to you that, I don't think Imran blamed General Faisal for Arshad Sharif's attack. I mean, Imran Khan's party, so first of all, I'll tell you, I also knew Arshad Sharif very well. He was a friend, and I am extremely shocked and saddened by his tragic murder in Kenya. It is so unfortunate. It is so unfortunate. But, the moment this news came in, Imran Khan's party on social media directly blamed General Bajwa. It's all on record. I mean, I'm not making it up. It's public record. And they started this campaign against Bajwa and against the ISI, the usual thing. And so that prompted them to come out in the open and kind of defend themselves. And then the attack on Imran Khan happened. And for that attack, Imran Khan has, other than the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, he has named General Faisal, who's the DG, who's number 2 in the ISI. So, and he wants him to be named in the FIR. Now, you see, that's also unheard of, unthinkable in Pakistan, because, the ISI has been a holy cow. Other politicians are always very, they think 10 times before naming that, naming any of them rightly or wrongly. But I think Imran Khan is also playing politics on that. So he knows that he has to pressurize the establishment. He's trying every trick in the trade to pressurize the establishment so that it again becomes partisan in his side. Okay, come back to my fold and support me and intervene on my behalf. So he wants that. So that is one thing. But Arshad's case is very complicated. And it is very complicated because it was done, as you know, through a nefarious operation through the notorious Kenyan police. Somebody obviously was, and as you know, Nairobi is now also the home of underground mafia of many countries have shifted there. Even I believe some Indian mafia, because यहाँ पे मोदी जी ने उनको निकाल दिया है बॉम्बे वगैरह से crack down करके, तो they've gone to these outside countries, right? I mean, you see a lot of his Bollywood films show these international sort of linkages, but also that is true of other mafia, even from, I remember that when Pakistan Army did operation in Karachi, a lot of underground mafia moved to South Africa. And before that, Hong Kong used to be a place. And then China came and cleaned up Hong Kong, were cracked down on that. So Nairobi is this hotbed now of a very corrupt, unaccountable, violent police force, the existence of all these different underground mafia. So I think that, obviously somebody tipped somebody, asked them to strike on Arshad Sharif. And the question is who it is. Is it the Pakistani establishment, as Imran Khan and his supporters say? Is it somebody else? Is it a faction? Is it a rogue element of the establishment? So all of these questions are totally unknown. And so all you have is speculation after speculation after speculation. So the best way, ideal way, which I doubt will happen, is that Pakistani and Kenyan authorities collaborate and find out the truth, and through a proper process. But chances of that are very slim.
Indeed, sir. And you mentioned about attack on Imran Khan, which was absolutely unfortunate. But later, I think a couple of days before that, Faisal Wadwa did a press conference, and he had predicted some kind of bloodbath if the long march continues. In that case, why did Imran Khan proceed with the long march when he had that an idea that something might happen? So why did he do that? And now he has said that he'll be reaching Pindi on 26th. Is he trying to pressurize the Pakistani army to some kind of compromise, to reach some kind of compromise?
So the thing is that he earlier, I think his ambition was to time this long march arrival in Pindi and Islamabad before the appointment of army chief, so that he could pressurize the military and get an army chief of his, or at least influence that decision making. But I think that particular strategy has not really worked. Now he has to live up to his words. So a lot of observers in Pakistan are saying that, now it is more of a face saving that he has to do, because the army chief will be appointed very soon, and that they may be back to. So, alongside this march, he's also been in touch with the establishment. He's been having parleys backdoor with General Bajwa, with the ISI, his associates, especially the president of the country, who's his party member. has been facilitating that dialogue. And apparently they may have reached some kind of an understanding. Now that's all, things change in Pakistan, they're tentative, but we'll soon find out.
Indeed, sir. And so I'll just ask my last question before we end this wonderful session. So what is the impact of Imran Khan's action when it comes to the democratic institutions? We have seen that his actions are not actually helping the Pakistan democracy. So what can be expected in the future, and what's on the appointment of army chief? What is your take? Who are the front runners there?
So, I mean, I don't, honestly speaking, this is such a, I'm actually shocked and surprised at Pakistan's politicians, Imran Khan included, Sharifs included, to make such a big hoopla about the appointment of army chief. Honestly speaking, Nawaz Sharif has appointed the most army chiefs. He has not survived in power for 3 times. Despite popular support, he's been ousted from power. Imran Khan gave extension to General Bajwa, who's now the outgoing chief, for 3 years, and Imran Khan could not survive in office. So I really don't think what difference would it make? But it's just, it's a perception game. It's a perception management. It's that reprieve that politicians think, always that they might get. So the front runners, General Sahil Shamshad Mirza is the senior most, General Asim Munir is the senior most now. And then he's followed by General Sahih Shamshad Mirza, and then he's followed by General Azhar Abbas. And so I think it is going to be one of these three as army chiefs, and I believe that, the Sharifs want General Asim Munir to be appointed as the army chief. He's also the senior most. He's also most experienced, but also he was DGISI under Imran Khan for a short time, and Imran Khan removed him. So, there's a political angle there as well. And then that's followed by General Sahir Shamshad Mirza, who's considered to be really, he hasn't served in these capacities. So he's supposedly a very professional soldier. And so is General Azhar Abbas. But, honestly speaking, Aditya, as a Pakistani or as just a lay observer, I think it makes no difference, because the institutional interests, institutional thinking is so clear and dominant in the military as a whole, whosoever, yes, the chief gives, maybe prioritizes certain directions. You can see how General Bajwa is not talking about geoeconomics, but that is also driven by the international and regional factors. So I think the next army chief will also be saying similar things. So it's not unique. And the only concern I have is that whosoever is the next army chief takes a step back, 10 steps back, and let the politicians, let the parliament do its work, not intervene directly or indirectly into the political affairs. That is how stability will come to Pakistan in the short to long term.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your time and valuable insights on the politics and the happenings in Pakistan. It was really great talking to you. And once again, thank you very much on behalf of India Futures. And we hope to have you again on our platform and continue our interaction with you.
Yes, I look forward to that. Thank you, Aditya. And thanks to Dr. Manish also. And not just online, but in person.
Indeed,
and as
sir.
we say in Pakistan, inshallah.
Indeed, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Take care.
sir.
Take care. Bye.